Look, I'm coming to you with an urgent message. Every single one of our followers, our fans, I gotta let you know something.
Oh, man, it's happening too fast. Look, people don't want you to be notified of what we're doing here. They don't want you to be notified when we go live. And then now you get sad because you didn't realize we're live and you missed all that information that you took. Oh, God, they're after me. Look, all you gotta do is click the bell. Just click the bell. And you'll be notified every time we go live. I promise you. Look, hurry up. I ain't got a lot of time. Let's go.
You got to sit there and ask yourself, okay, what am I truly passionate about? What do I enjoy doing? And when you feel that way, honestly, you feel like you have never worked a day in your life. It's the most fun thing in the world. You get up in the morning excited about what you're doing. And you got to be really honest with yourself about it. If you wake up in the morning and you're dreading going to work, dude, do something else. Right. Do something else. And those are hard decisions to make. But when you make those decisions, it's a very liberating experience. And you find out that the rewards will come.
Yo, my goodness.
What's good?
Yo.
I'm gonna tell you what's good. I'm good because I'm just getting off of work, trying to figure out why my password wasn't working. I'm completely locked out of work the whole time frame. So,
oh wow,
it's all good. All right, cool. I have to do that jump tomorrow, and but outside of that, everybody. I hope everybody had a great day. Welcome to Unfiltered. We actually on time, but what I mean is I normally have everything we all need to know. We on time. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pass it off to my awesome co-host and let them do their introductions, and then we'll take it from there and get this wonderful, wonderful day.
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Well, it's a wonderful day because we're alive. We're in the land of the living. We got so much to be grateful for. So let's get into these topics today because all these topics help our life. They help us to think about things we ain't think about, gain a different perspective. So we need to talk. That's how I feel every time I come, every time I show up. It's like, let's get into this.
For sure. It's your boy, Mac Daddy 1/3 Unfiltered. Everybody continue to share, like, subscribe. Hello, Miss Kathy. Thank you for joining us. Just looking through these topics. They're awesome topics from our amazing co-host, Mrs. Hill. So, like, I'm ready to get into it. So, let's get it.
You know what? And then before we start getting into the topics, I gotta tell people something. I got the booster shot last week. So it's funny. What's going on, Sean? I see you, man. That booster, that booster kicked my ass, and it did a number on me. Yeah, mate. I'm gonna tell you, I knew something was wrong. This is how I tell you I knew something wrong. I'm not telling y'all don't go get it. Don't be jumping for joy. I say go make sure you protect it. Well, other than that, I'm telling you what happened to me, the shot wise. So I went to go get the booster shot. First of all, I went to Walgreens, and I think that was my biggest mistake. When I did it before, it was through AT&T, and they had the nurses come up there, and they did it right then and there. Boom, boom, boom. You can tell these chicks knew what they're doing. I got a hold of a doctor. I like, if you've seen Spider-Man, if you haven't seen it yet, too bad. I'm about to tell y'all. Green Goblin, the guy who played Green Goblin in Spider-Man, right? I think I got a hold of one of those doctors because when he was giving me the shot, he was just asking a whole bunch of questions. He was taking a long time to get. He's like, okay, I got the shot. All right, let's get ready to go in. You ready? All right, it's in. 1. Oh, okay. 1, 2, and then boom. And then when he did that, it was like, boom. I'm like, oh, and I looked at him, and he was like, oh damn. And then blood was coming
Oh
down
my
my
God.
arm. Blood was coming down my arm.
What?
I'm telling you, Mac is. I mean, I told Mac the same exact story. They were like, Duke, and blood was coming down my arm. I'm like, he's like, oh damn. Oh, don't worry. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes.
Nah, you ain't giving me no confidence.
Yeah, I know.
Sir.
Hey, baby, I'm like, my mama a nurse. I know what I'm doing. I'm like, blood. So the blood was coming down. It's like, think of my hands. Think of my 2 fingers. Come down my arm like this, all the way down to down here. And I'm like, dude. So I'm looking at him. He's like, trust me, I'm gonna make sure I clean that blood all up. It's gonna be cleaned all up. So I'm like, dude. So I left. I'm like, I was joking with them. I was sending Texas in our group chat tomorrow. I feel like I'm rejuvenated. I feel awesome.
He was about to die. Hey, he was gonna die over a booster shot. He said, "I burned it."
It was horrible. It was horrible. I can't confront nobody out. I didn't have no side effects with them first 2. This bad boy, I had every side effect, and I think it's because of the doctor, not because I was like about 12 noon. I'm 12 at midnight, and I'm laying in the bed. My whole body just seized up. Muscle pain, like I'm like,
oh my God.
I thought I was transforming into a vampire. I'm like this. I'm like, Lord, not like this. Not like this guy. That whole next day, I was done. So, one, I want to apologize to everybody that had the side effects, and I was laughing at y'all because I'm like, man, I had nothing. No, them side effects is no joke. When they say muscle pains, I had muscle pains everywhere. I felt like Deadpool when they threw him in that and they made him just transforming him. I'm like, oh dog, I feel awful. It was horrible. My body was. It lasted for a day. Next day, I felt 100% better. So don't go to Walgreens to get your shot. It's a little nerdy doctor. To this day, I think he's trying to start cloning me. So if I start seeing Randy down this bad boy like a Gemini man, oh no, I'll be like, this dude trying to kill me. But outside of that, the only other thing I want to talk about that we, before we get into topics, is something I'm really, really happy about. I'm happy about Will Smith because he had a bad last year. I mean, granted, he had a little bad last year for the most part. I'm talking about maybe emotionally and mentally. He had a bad last year with everything going on. But the brother, the Golden Globes happened. I like watching them award shows like that. And because of COVID, because California has some of the strictest rules with COVID, they didn't have a crowd. They didn't have an audience. They didn't even do the show. But Will Smith won Best Actor in a drama, Golden Globe. And this is first time winning it. And normally the Golden Globes tell you who's going to win some Oscars or get close to it.
Yeah.
So I am rooting for you, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I'm rooting for you. I hope that you get it. The only good thing I can say in his losses, because he's been nominated before this 2 other times, and that was in 2004. He lost to Denzel Washington in Training Day, which I can think that Training Day was awesome. Yeah. And then he lost in 2008 to Forrest Whitaker when he played Idi Amin in Last King of Scotland. If y'all never seen that movie, another awesome movie. So I believe this year he is going to win it for King Richard. I wish him the best of luck, and I hope he get it because it's well deserved. And
I think Fresh Prince is going to be amazing.
Oh yeah, I see that come out the day of the Super Bowl.
I think and the cast is like, so just looking through it, it's a battle rap guy, which he like did from Philly. Like a lot of people that's in that whole like the cast outside the main actors is from Philly, so he want that Philly vibe, and then going to the Bel-Air joint and just look at how modern it is compared to the old Fresh Prince. I'm gonna gamble and say it might be better. We'll see. I mean, you can't top a classic, but like I'm excited for this new Fresh Prince.
Oh no, I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I think
the
it's
new
gonna be a
spin
great
on
new
it.
take. You said you are too, Fifi?
Yeah, it's gonna be a new spin on it. Yeah.
Well, you know what I noticed? There's not really no new ideas that's coming out right now.
Oh no.
It's a lot of remakes, and some of them, been doing justice. So, I'll reserve judgment until I see it. But they're just trying to get it hip to a newer crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, it's all good. Also today, last thing before we get into the topics, I want to thank my incredible God. Some things happen close to home, and when it happens close to home, it gives you a better appreciation for it. And I know we've been talking about school lockdowns and shootings. Today, my daughter, high school, had a lockdown. Somebody had a gun there. It was a scare. And it was a little terrifying thing. And I'm happy. I want to say shout out to the Warren Police Department and the entire staff of Lincoln High School. They did an outstanding job. A lot of times people want to report when negative stuff happened and when the tragedy happened. But because of the outstanding response time of Warren Police and the outstanding response time of the staff over there at Lincoln High School, I want to give a major shout out to a good friend of mine over there who also happens to be the principal, Mr. Felicia. I thank you so much. You're an outstanding educator. And I thank you for keeping all the babies safe, but especially all my babies safe. So just shout out to them and thank you so much for it. So everybody, man, keep prayed up. Stay prayed up. These things are coming closer and closer to home. And extremely grateful that, sometimes I'm always cautious about when I say, God, thank you for covering, because it makes it seem that someone that's being very maniacal and mean-hearted would say, so what do you mean? The other schools wasn't protected and things of that nature? And that's absolutely not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm just grateful. And I'm very more appreciative that it didn't happen like that. So, again, shout out to Warren Police and Lincoln High School and the entire Van Dyke public school system over there. So, I'm grateful very much for that. Let's go ahead and get in this topic. Since Beautiful Miss Hills picked these topics, and there's some great topics, you tell us, what are we going to start off with today?
Well, I think it's only befitting, because we just led in with Will Smith and his awards, to start off talking about Sidney Poitier and the impact that he has had, just his representation in film, and not even just film, but in our community. And then also just how it's made an impact, how it's changed the trajectory of film with African Americans and Black people and the way we're portrayed, even though we still have stereotypes today. Just what he's done, just what he represented. That's what we need to talk about first. Cool. Let's get into it. All right. Everybody's been, and I don't want to negate all of the amazing actors and actresses that, we have lost last year. We can't negate them and we can't, overlook them, but we're going to focus on Sidney because he's going to sum up, they all are correlated. They all represent the same thing. So he's going to sum up for us, what it means to be Black in film, to be Black in culture, and make a change.
All right. You gonna hit off first? Or you want me to start? Or...
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right. Sidney Poitier. There has been great actors before Sidney Poitier and since Sidney Poitier, but I think without him, the world would have been different. To touch on things, he was the first Black performer to win an Oscar. That was in 1964. Yep, first Black performer to win an Oscar. A couple things that he did, and one of them I had to write down because it kind of impacted me. After he won his Oscar in the 70s, he started directing because he wanted to control how people of color especially black people, were portrayed on the screen, which opened the doors for a lot of people. It was a scene I was going through, and I think he was a detective, and he had smacked a white person. He smacked a white guy, and just seeing that scene alone was just like not powerful because he smacked somebody, but just showing that, hey, like how set along we could be of things being even, or how we can progress. Like just looking at film, saying, okay, what is this, like a black guy smacking a white, not right or wrong, like it shouldn't happen, film or whatever. I guess that set the precedence for like how great he was. It was something he said during his Oscar. No, it wasn't the Oscar speech. It was a 2002, but I think somebody's being nominated. But he had I think they were honoring him, and this is what he said, which kind of touched me. He said, "I accept the award in memory of all the African American actors and actresses that went before me through the difficult years, on whose shoulders I stood on to see where I could go." I just thought, like, just looking at how old, and not old as in, decrepit, but like how iconic this man was to even bring up people before him that we may have never heard about or never will hear about, that paved the way for him to pave the way for everybody else. So I just thought that was really big for him. And like I said, just appreciate everything he did and all the doors he opened, because like I said, without him, I think the world would be a little different. I think we wouldn't have progressed this. He helped progress it a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. And, I want to get you guys' perspective and take on it. But to piggyback off what you said, it's just about his dignity. It's about the way he represented us with such class, such elegance, and how he didn't demean himself just to get a position, just to play a role. He was very specific. If you pay attention to, and I know most of the people haven't seen all his films, but this is a segue into going to research him and look him up. But in every role he played a non-stereotypical role, a role that Black people wouldn't necessarily traditionally play. He played that outstanding role where it was something that changed the perspective and the viewpoint of white people, Caucasians, to how Black people can be represented and how we actually are, because he was that way off screen as well as on screen when he did a lot of his, civil rights activists. And he was really showing that I'm not just doing this on screen, but I represent my community no matter where I am. And just taking a stand for, we are Black and we're beautiful. We are excellent. And we're not an outcast. We can be included and still be excellent and represented, and we can work together. And it's not just about Black or white. It's about us being unified, and we all can play a role. Even when he won his Academy Award, that was a big deal because he was one of the first, just like the Oscars, the first African American to win an Academy Award. That's a big deal. That's major. Because actors go years, working. That's a part of their life goal. That's like the Olympics for them. Winning these awards is high prestige, high honor. So for him to be able to transcend and win an Academy Award, that was a big deal.
Yeah. I was just going through, and how when people pass away, they want to just say something because they think it's appropriate. But a lot of people were like really appreciate it and were affected about this man passing away. And like I said, I definitely think he broke barriers like outside of the art of acting and everything. Like I said, he definitely played his role, and like I said, he'll be missed, and we definitely appreciate everything he did. And I'm glad that he paved the way for us to walk in his footsteps. And like I said, I don't know why that just the part where he gave other people praise, because hey, like, even though we thought that he may have went through a lot of difficult things, people before him probably was 10 times harder.
Yeah.
Probably 10 times harder. Like from what we know, they could be way better actors, or have way better a way better skill set, but we'll never know because nobody never gave them the opportunity, or they never gave them the platform to shine, or they never had shoulders to stand on. But yet they were the shoulders for him to stand on. So like I said, that meant a lot to me.
That's what gave him that view. That's why people hold him in that high regard, because he was a man of integrity. And unlike what we see a lot today, which is why I'm happy that he's being represented and honored, and people are being introduced to him for the first time, even though he's been around for years, that you don't have to tear somebody else down in order to rise up.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
can bring your people or your family, your team, whoever along with you, and you can all be positive, and you can all shine and grow and mature together. He represented that for them just by giving them honor. And then he showed that, because look at Denzel Washington as an example. Everybody loved Denzel. Denzel loved Sidney Poitier. He's one of the reasons that he got into acting and inspired him, because that was his representation. That was the first African American he's seen in film, and he's like, wow, I could actually do this. So I think that's awesome.
All it takes is one.
And that's why the representation is so important, because a lot of times we don't do things because we don't see other people that we're familiar with or that we can identify with doing it. And that's a hindrance a lot of times, where we feel like I can't do it because I've never seen anybody that I know do it. But he helped to show forth that, like, it doesn't matter if you haven't seen anybody do it. I'll be the first one to do it. So then you can have that hope and that confidence that whatever you decide to do or set your mind to, you can achieve it as well.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about that, Randy, before you go, because I think you're about to go, like you touched on Felicia, to piggyback on it, like it wasn't like he was just had like little cameos or little like roles here and there. He played significant roles in a lot of these films, and it just goes to show you the respect that people outside of our culture have for him. And I don't want to say, I'm not trying to say that's bigger than the appreciation that we have for him, but it's like for you not to just affect your community, but to affect like the world is something big to say. Randy, Mr. Johnson.
I don't want to. Sometimes you don't need to say anything on things.
Oh, okay.
It's already been said, and I heard one of the best speeches I ever heard was when somebody said that they didn't want to ruin the moment. So I'm not going to ruin that moment. What I'm going to say is I'm going to quote in a New York Times article by Wesley Morris, wrote on Sidney Poitier. The title of it was Sidney Poitier was the star we desperately needed him to be. I think the best thing about this situation, and y'all said it all, but the best thing is that it is seldomly even thought about by people we consider trailblazers that they're even blazing the trail. That's not even what's in their mindset. What's in their mindset is that they know and they're trying to achieve something that has never been achieved before. It just so happens that in their pursuit and their fight of trying to get it, it inspires people. That's all that happens.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that's rare in this day and age is humility. Actually, it's considered a sign of weakness, especially in these young generation. And I really hope that they'll get rid of that foolish mentality of thinking that humility is a sign of weakness. No, it's not. Humility is saying, I understand that I'm not here on my own. And when you have somebody, and this, I want you to listen to this. One of the quotes, I'm taking it from New York Times article, like I said, by Wesley Morris. Give credit where credit is due. He said, without the obstacles put in his way, he could have been even bigger than he was. But Mr. Portier still managed to be a giant, which is in itself astonishing. That's incredible. But that means that despite he could have been way huge, just what Max said, he could have been bigger. He could have been on this incredible, like, oh man, we're gonna have him on this pedestal and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in not even thinking about that, but by going through the things he had to go through, he became a giant. He became inspirational. He became something more than just an actor. And y'all just, it's incredible because people like that, God don't make no mistakes when you give people assignments. He just don't. And I'm so happy about it.
That's a preach word right there.
He don't make no mistakes when he give people their assignments. And when you have individuals, because he understands who is going to have humility, who's going to have integrity, who's going to do it for the right reasons, who's not going to do it for the right reasons. And I mean, he said, because he's looked at it in that light as being, oh man, you're incredible, you're my idol. But he said, and Mac said it, read that quote again when he said, I want to thank, I accept this award
in memory of all African-American actors and actresses that went before me through the difficult years, on whose shoulders I stood on to see where I could go.
If that don't tell you where people's mindset is, he's saying, ain't no way in the world I would be here. It ain't no way in the world I would accept this award if it wasn't for these people that came before me. Like you said, it's always important to remember that road, that nicely paved road that you on, some people came before you and was laying the foundation.
They paid the price for it. Like,
I don't once you can understand that and appreciate it, then you can have a greater appreciation for your past. I think it's a horrible excuse, and I know we'll move on. I think it's a horrible excuse by today's youth saying things like, well, I wasn't born at the time frame that that happened, so I ain't aware of it. Then you should be made aware of it. Why would you not want to find out saying things like that? Whoa, I'm able to go to school. I'm able to get an education because some people died knowing that they would never walk across the stage and have a degree.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But they said, no, I'm thinking about the long term.
Yep.
And I'm just grateful for everybody, even now, that think about the long-term goals and the long-term effect of the things that you do now.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being selfish, which most of society is selfish and only thinking about for the here and now. That's why they call it the fast life, because it's fast. Because the only thing you think about is yourself. So it's here, bam, boom. Think about the long term. So, but
the crazy thing before you got the topic, just to kind of allude what both of you guys were saying, but when we give like reference or like thank people, like I think people normally like thank somebody that's associated, somebody that we know, like, oh, I want to thank, Denzel, or I want to thank Forrest Whitaker or Angela Bassett, people that we can relate to. But like this guy, like, we will never know who they are. And for the impact they have for him is amazing. And like I said, they sacrificed the most.
Mm-hmm.
And we never see it. We never would know. Like Cindy Portier does, but like we would never know. Like Randy just said, like that paved road that we walk all the time, and that we take for granted. People sacrifice their lives for it. So that's all I want to say about that. Great topic.
That's just awesome. Yeah, that's great. I love it, man. So again, we say, man, rest up, King. You deserve your rest. And we should all be honored to have a life as long as you. Keep in mind, it ain't about how long it is, it's about how much you do in it. I remember somebody told me that you got a date that you're born, you got a date that you die, and in between where that hyphen is, that's what matters, is everything you do between that time frame. So shout out, man. I love that topic. Let's go. What's the next one? Let's go. I like it.
Well, let's go right into emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
This is important because nowadays I think a lot of people don't understand what it means to have emotional intelligence. And to be honest, it's a lack or it's an ignorance. And a lot of people don't understand that having emotional intelligence really affects your whole life, your whole well-being, every part of your life, every aspect of your life. It's not just, oh, I don't want to be emotional, I want to be vulnerable, so I'm not going to deal with it. It's more of the thought process. It goes back to mental health. It all connects. It all correlates. So I want to talk about that because I want to hear your perspective on emotional intelligence, because a lot of people ain't never even heard of it. They don't even know what it means or where it came from or what it consists of or how you get it, or is it just people born with it? So I want to get you guys' perspective on what you feel like is doing to our society for those who are lacking or those who are just ignorant, and just your personal accountment of where are you in your journey with your emotional intelligence and your emotional well-being and your mental health. We're going to keep talking about mental health. We're going to keep talking about it because that's relevant for where we are in today in society and what's going on. So it's going to be a constant conversation in different forms. But for today, it's just about where are you emotionally? How do you understand your emotions? That's what emotional intelligence is. It's just the ability to understand basically, how am I feeling? Am I feeling kind of weird? Am I feeling crazy? Where I'm at? How do I feel? You know, a lot of times we don't want to identify how we actually feel. If somebody say, oh, hey, how you doing? We'll just say, oh, I'm doing fine. I'm okay. Instead of, yeah, sometimes you feel like you can't be honest with that person because they ain't gonna do nothing with it anyway. But for yourself, reflecting and knowing, hey, I'm feeling kind of sad today. Like Randy started off, yeah, I'm feeling better, but I was feeling crazy because I got this booster shot and that thing took me out for a minute. You know, that's identifying, hey, emotionally, this is where I was at and this is where I am now. So it's 4 components in emotional intelligence. It's self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and conflict management, like relationship management. And all of those are really important because it deals with your impulses. It deals with self-control. It deals with just reflection, identifying what's going on, assessing things, having discernment to know, hey, you know, this may be a tough situation and I may need to pull back. I may need to kind of not talk a lot and just, like Randy said, be silent for a minute. Or I may need to be able to speak up because somebody is being hurt or abused or they don't have a voice and I need to represent their voice on what they're trying to say and convey. So let me hear from y'all. What y'all feeling? What y'all thought about? What y'all think about it?
So
What's your thoughts on it?
You touched on the 4 stages. Mine's were a couple of mine's definitely matched with yours, and a couple were like, you know, they were the same but mostly different. Like relationship management. That's what I had. Managing emotion, understanding emotion, and perceiving emotion. I think perceiving emotion and understanding is almost the same thing. But I gained emotional intelligence by wanting a relationship, like a marriage, and not being in one until I was ready for it, and actually managing people. That's why I kind of learned it. Like just like for example, like you being an adult, like, hey, respect me, I respect you, or hey, you have to come to work to do A, B, C, D, and people don't have that same, like I said, emotional intelligence. So it's like right out the back, you take it as disrespect, or you take it as like a spit in the face, or you take it as like, all right, something's wrong with this person. So just honestly sitting down and just like learning from people or just understanding the situation, you can see like, okay, well, maybe this is why this happened, or like, you know, this is why they do it. Rather, regardless of take advantage or not, just knowing what it is and knowing how to, I don't want to say check it, but like regulate it.
Yep.
The one that I definitely I'm excited about the most is the relationship management, because it's more impulsive, so yet it's hard to control, but that's one that I like to concentrate on more. I can't like if somebody on the street were to say something to try to cut me down or whatever, like they don't know me, and I can take it with a grain of salt because all right, they don't know me. But if somebody that loves you, whether it's wife, mother, brother, whoever, you know, you can't control how you feel when that initially happens, because it's like, wow, like when we add the word relationship management, as far as, you know, we talk about into, you know, emotional intelligence, they're not supposed to hurt you, according to like if I'm taking it for face value, like you're my wife, you're my mother, you're my brother, you're my daughter, you're not supposed to hurt me. So when it initially happens, we don't jump on it and say, well, okay, well, maybe this is why you feel like that, or I understand how I can make you feel. No, it's like we automatically take it as you're hurting me, so I have to hurt you back or not deal with you. So I think that one is the most important to me, because we have to understand like how important the relationship is to work on it, to see if we want to keep it. Like if it's worth keeping it, how can I regulate this this emotion, so therefore I can keep this relationship or make it different. So I think that one's more complex, but in the manner of, like I said, perceiving and understanding emotion, like I said, I think those two are pretty much the same thing, and that's more in general of like, hey, like I could control how I feel in a certain situation just due to how I want my actions to be, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, so like I how can I regulate? Okay, so if I'm walking in the mall and somebody steps on my shoes, and if it's an accident, I can perceive that, you know, all right, you didn't mean to do it, so there's no reason to take where I need to take it. Now, if a person do it on purpose, like this is an example, they do it on purpose, I'm perceiving that you're trying to, you know, disrespect me or bully me or however you may, you know, want to perceive that, then that's where, you know, it kind of spirals to me. But overall, and I'll end it here. Overall, it's how I learned to actually deal with it through those different branches has helped me, you know, increase my emotional intelligence. Don't get me wrong. I think in the relationship department, I think that's one thing I'm always going to work on. But everything else, like I said, just growing up, being around great people like you, and just learning how to deal with people in general helped me deal with emotional intelligence. And I'm sorry, I just think this generation is kind of lost because they don't know how to deal with it. They deal with it one certain way versus looking at certain variables. It's like, all right, I take it this way. That's how I give it, and that's it. So I'll end it there because I know you guys, you know, got some great stuff. But I just want to get to my personal, you know, demonstration about emotional intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything. I like that whole perspective that you gave in regards to it. You know, like I said, it's, you know, one thing I always said that when I feel like when it comes to emotion, uh I don't want to say I'll be trying to be the 10 man, but sometimes I do to a point, because this is how I feel about emotion. And this is just me being honest, y'all. This is how I feel about emotion. I feel like emotion may accurately convey what you're feeling at the time frame. What it doesn't do is accurately depict what actually is going on. And if I like, maybe I can explain that a little bit more. It's just like saying, look, I might be pissed and upset by what I perceive as someone doing me wrong, but the actual situation may not be that someone did me wrong. It's just my perception of it.
Yep.
So with emotional intelligence, I mean, I look at it with like a couple different ways, and I was just looking at it as y'all was just talking. And you know, it's what you perceive an emotion, you understand an emotion, how you use emotion, and how you manage the emotions.
Yep.
So perceiving is always that number one, because it's just like that age-old test. You'll text in all caps, hello, to 80 different people, and you'll get 80 different responses. You have some people say, man, why are you yelling? With me, I'm literal. I'm just looking at it that he just put it in all caps, and I'm gonna type back hello in all caps. But everybody don't perceive it that way, so it's going to evoke a different emotional response from everybody. Then after then the perception. This, I believe, right there in the beginning, perception is where get all emotion out of whack right off the bat.
Yep.
Because people always perceiving every different thing. That then they never make it to the next step, which is understanding. They ain't trying to understand why this person emotional. And how do I do that in my life and understanding that? I'm a passionate person. With a couple of things, and everybody has their things that they're passionate about. What I had to start realizing is I can't let my passion be a disguise for me being rude and disrespectful.
Wow, that's big.
And what I mean by that is that you could be like, I'm passionate about this, but your passion should never be derogatory or tear someone else down because they're not as passionate about it as you. Or they might be as passionate as you, but y'all don't agree about it. So you got to get to an understanding. That's why it's important to sit back and listen. When people don't understand that conversation, what conversation we already said on the show is 3 parts. It's speaking, listening, and then comprehending. You got to do those things. If you don't, the conversation is for nothing. So that's why I believe with that one. And then you get to the next one, which is the one that I think people, we all get lost on. I've seen it. And that's using the emotion.
Yep. We
don't know how to use the emotion right. So what happened, this is where people get that phrase, I'm in my feelings. You know, we get in our feelings because we emotionally tied to like, yeah, I'm in my feelings. Because, people don't know how to use the emotion right. Like, we don't know how to use the passion right. We don't know how to use the anger right or the happiness right. That's where you get what you call those a spoiled, you know what I'm saying, a horrible winner. Like, man, you a horrible winner. You don't know how just to win and go about your business. Or, man, you a horrible loser. You don't know how to just lose and go about your business. Or, man, why you got to be so, like, hard about everything? Why you can't be able, why you so, like you feel like you got to be ignorant about it? Why you got to, you can't sit there and just listen to hear what they're saying. That's where you got to use it. And then that last one, man, managing your emotions.
That's the huge one.
Yes, we don't manage them right. And especially now, like Matt was just saying, this, like this generation, and this is not us picking our generation. And see, this is what a lot of people would hear this and say, man, they hating. Hating is not, see, this is the weirdest thing I never understood. Correction is not criticism. And when people can understand this,
I need some more popcorn for that one.
They'll be a lot better in life. Correction is not criticism. You want someone there that's telling you if you're doing it wrong so they can show you how to do it right. And this is where all big time, especially today, where all the emotions, because for some reason, there is no good emotional exercise for these young people. They only is a 100 or 0. It's either major depression or major anger. It's one of the two.
I agree.
And it's like it's like they're embarrassed to be happy, and they think the happiness got to come from either someone being way worse than them, and it's like, no, you ain't got to do that. Emotionally, we just have to understand that one, when you feel a certain way, and I know we all been there. When I feel a certain way, sometimes you got to put a pin in it. Like, look, let's put a pin in this conversation. We'll talk about this later. And I really talk about the relationships, because there's some time frames where I'm emotional and I ain't coming off my rack. I'm talking about like when it comes to politics, especially when I get to people, when it's somebody that don't know what they talk, I'm like, man, you don't have any idea what you're talking about. And see, that go back to where I got to respect, like, look, this person may have never been around anyone who's been in the same circumstances that you've been in. Yeah. This is why, like, even when they have the white-black conversation, that's why I'm so open to it, because you got some blacks that ain't never been around whites. They only anytime they've ever met, it's always been in negative situations. So that's what their emotion react on. Look, it's always negative. Or white folks, they ain't never been about black. So all they know, their emotional response is whatever they've been told or whatever they see. It's always coming by some kind of visual stimuli. So, or you just got people like me who are just flat out passionate. And when you have a flat out passion about something, it's just your flat out passion. But it's crazy.
I'm gonna tell y'all something about your host here. I'm gonna cut him off because this happened.
Yeah, this happened.
Saturday. Look, we talk about look. It comes from, all right, hey, let's agree to disagree, to like, I think you just stupid. I just think you need to go to hell. I'm like, what?
I will say that. I will say that in the heartbeat.
We should get like that. Like, we have like I can be look, even like sometimes he's right, or sometimes I'm right. If I had the facts, let's say if I have hardcore facts, no, you still stupid. I hate all you. Like Randy, like you will go in on your mama, your daddy, like, you know what? That's what he's born with a defect. I'm like, damn, like Randy.
You're so stupid. He overreact now.
He will apologize later though. But if you beat him or something, or when it come down to sports, like it get there. But like, but the one thing I will give this man, like, he will apologize later.
Because when you're being over the top, you're like, look, man, I don't agree with that. Because I'm gonna tell you a lot what it is, and I never realized it before. God has spoiled me to the point where it's been incredible. And what I mean by that, I'm the oldest out of my group of guys. And not far off and stuff like that. I ain't talking about like I'm way up here and they way down there. But I've been spoiled, and a lot of stuff that we all had to experience, I was the first to be able to experience. Mm-hmm. And I was able to walk through it. And, we're not no complaints, but saying, hey, we could do this. And, and they've done it and done better. So I've been around, and I'm spoiled because I got the greatest circle in the world. I got the greatest circle in the world. So anytime I see them giving credit to losers, I'm like, no, don't y'all give credit to them losers, because y'all incredible. Did y'all do that? Did y'all, and all my example be, never give a man an excuse for things that can be done, but he chooses not to do them. And I believe in that. If a man or woman has the opportunity to do the right thing, knowing what everything's at stake, and they still choose to do the wrong thing, you could be like, okay, but that's their fault. I believe strongly in accountability all the time. So, like you
absolutely.
Said, with emotional,
that's where emotional intelligence come in, because you understanding them levels. Like, okay, I understand that I went through this, and it's possible. And I'm seeing that you haven't went through this yet, and you at the beginning stages, and you looking at it like it's impossible, or you trying to make it these excuses or be lazy.
Absolutely.
And I have no, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't have as much empathy as you want me to have for you, because I know that you can push past that. You can overcome the challenges. You ain't even tried it yet, so you don't even know how hard it's gonna be. I think that's where your vantage point is coming from. And it's like, with emotional intelligence, it's about perspective. Like you already said, it's about understanding where people are when it comes to relationships. That's what we talked about. When it comes to relationship management and conflict management, it's like, okay, I see where you are. That's a conflict. Matt could have been offended because you said he was stupid. And maybe that'll trigger him because
I don't call him stupid. I don't call him like that stupid.
No, this is not real. This is not real. I'm using this as an example.
No, I'm messing with you if you don't know. I'm saying,
so it's like he could have been bullied. He could have been bullied as a kid, and people called him stupid because he was trying to read and he was stuttering, and they was like, "Oh, you stupid."
But see, my point to him and all of them that day, what happens? We was talking about Antonio Brown. They was talking about he could be in the Hall of Fame. And you know, this interesting because this is deep. This really is deep when I think about it. As I sat there, we talked about emotional intelligence, and this is a man that has none, absolutely none. And when I think about it, when I was saying and how reason I was passionate about it, like I said, I thought about these men that are around the table with me, who I seen been in situations, and they didn't act the same way that this guy. I don't like giving people excuses for acting outside of what you should be acting. And when I saw that, I'm like, because I know we was basing it off his skill level. But you know what? And when I realized it's hard for me to base, I don't like to let people think because you're talented at something that you could do whatever you want to do. I think that's a big problem, especially what they've done to a lot of black men, because they could dribble a basketball, because they could catch a football, they could hit a baseball, they could fight real good. They've said, you know what? Let's do nothing about personal development. Because that nigga can perform. He got skills. So they could care less about you being, like you said, have emotional intelligence, good mental health, being an accountable citizen. They could care less about it. So when I see guys who don't do that, compared to the guys I know that do it, because Mac ain't gonna tell you. He been through a whole lot. Lonzo ain't gonna tell you he been through a whole lot. Jared, Jamal, all of them, they been through a whole lot. Even to the point where they don't tell nobody nothing, because you know why? What they're trying to do? A lot of the time, first they be thinking about that they blaming themselves. Like, what am I doing that I'm in this position? It's got to be something wrong. That's that emotional part you just talked about. And this everybody. My goodness, I can't believe I'm going this route. So this for men and women. But we everybody. Go through a thing. The first thing when things start going to hell with emotion, you look at yourself. Mature adults look at themselves. What's going on? What is it that I'm doing that's causing all this to go wrong around me? Once they still can't figure that out and they get a factor, then they look at somebody who is consistently around them saying, yeah, that person's the issue. You the reason, you accounting for this. So emotional, it's like I said, it's accurate to where you feeling at the time. Because that's how this has it. You pissed, you happy, you sad, you depressed. So when people tell me how they feel, when they honest about it, I believe them. I don't even talk them out of that's how they feeling. Because sometimes you just gotta let people talk. And I think that's what's missing. Nobody is listening to people. Nobody listening. You hear it all the time, but you ain't listening. You ain't listening at this person. All you hear, this is what we do most of the time, especially sometimes in the church, and I'm praying to God that the church kind of get a hold of this. You talking about praying demons and stuff off, but you ain't listening.
Because sometimes they just need a hug.
They just need look.
They just need to feel love.
They need to know somebody is there listening to them. You ain't co-signing them, but you're there. Because you could be in a room and you just rambling. Sometimes somebody just need you to be there to ramble. Not ramble saying and co-sign you saying, I want to kill myself, nothing like that.
No, but talking through it so that you can see what am I really trying to say? What do I really feel? What's the root of how I feel? Yeah, absolutely.
That happens because you know what I notice sometimes when I'm at my most upset? You don't need somebody to tell you that you wrong per se.
Yep.
What you need to do is talk out everything that's in you. And then all of a sudden you hear yourself because you didn't got all that anger. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm tripping. Now, that trusted person or this person, whoever was supposed to be meant to be there to hear it and talk and give you a good word, now they can slip in that word because now you're going to be more receptive to hear it because you got all the anger out of you.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't believe this. They so stupid. Like, you know, in the like what happened. So, because I know with women, they work a lot. I understand that with women a lot. Women do not need men to solve their problems.
It's a fact.
They just need them to listen. Because men tend to be fixers. Let me try to figure, okay, what are we going to do? Because I've done this, I don't know how many times. Like,
guilty.
What you need to do.
Definitely guilty of it. Sure.
Like, what you need to do is do this. If you did this wouldn't happen. Man,
well, see, women can be like that too, though. Women can be like that, especially in marriages.
In marriages, yep, I agree with you.
Specifically in marriages. Yeah.
With most women, they will let, I think when I noticed it most, when we went to marriages, so we'll go here. I know because I'm going to get off the hard topic. What I noticed in marriages,
it's still relevant.
Women tend to, when they finally get a man to talk, they tend not to listen. Or they throw off that he's feeling that way. Because it takes a lot for a man to bear his soul out.
It does.
That vulnerability for a man, he don't tell every woman that. So when he has his wife, he up there telling her, man, I don't know what I'm feeling. I'm feeling overbearing. I'm feeling all this. So if she's not hearing him and believing him, that's why I tell most guys, man, y'all got to be careful. Be careful who you telling all your stuff to. Because they not praying for you.
That's the difference, yeah.
Also, even with that, like, I get to say, like, let's just say, hey, you talk to your significant other, they don't hear you. Another woman will hear you out, and that'd be the wrong person you need to tell.
Right.
And especially
because they'll use it against you later on.
There you go.
Use it against you, or you, like I said, use it as like, hey, well, I hear you, she don't, and that's how some relationships end. I just think that. I just think, go. Yep. I just think that. I mean, both men and women, we both gotta be better listeners.
Better, way better.
Yeah, better listeners. But like, just like I can speak to a man's vulnerability, I would say is just as important as his heart. Or it is because once, and I say this can even be personal. Once I feel like you break that vulnerability, how can I ever trust you again? I gave you something that I'll give nobody else. So,
and you know what's funny about that? I absolutely agree with you on that. But then I tell guys that you feel like that, I want you to think about this. You say once and you done. Picture it being done to you time and time and time and time and time and time and time again. Welcome to the world of women. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the world of women that stand by guys and only just to see them crap on them.
Yeah.
Because I know women will come back and back. I'm talking about, so a lot of women say, man, you foolish for doing that. No. I can't wait for people to stop saying foolish for people being committed.
Mm-hmm.
Commitment
big
is not
difference.
foolish. It's a big difference. Yep. Because even a committed person will finally get to the point where, like, you know what? Okay, that's it. You're not trying to do any different. You don't care. Eventually that stuff happened. But emotionally, the problem is sometimes a lot of men want women to feel the same way that they feeling, and women want men to feel it. We got to respect that. That's what makes us different, that we feel things in a different way. And it don't mean that we don't care. Like, what's that saying? Women love their kids, men raise their kids. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Well, see, you just said something really good right there, because that's what I was gonna mention about relationships and managing your emotions. That's the biggest key in emotional intelligence, that understanding part, so that you can manage better.
Right.
You just said, as a man, that when y'all feel differently than what we may feel on a point or in general about anything, women a lot of times associate that, men too, but we mostly women though, we associate that with you don't care because you don't have the same stance I have, or you can't see it the way I see it, you just don't care. Or because we don't understand your process in your emotions, or you just still learning how to manage your emotions or even acknowledge your emotions or take notice, we assume, oh, you just don't care. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why relationships are not successful and thriving, because emotionally we don't understand one another. We talked about that in past episodes where we talk about the difference between men and women. That's the biggest thing. It's like, you got to understand the process is different. That's why in relationships, if you not emotionally intelligent and you ain't in tune with your partner, you're not open to learn them.
Right.
Y'all not gonna get nowhere.
Nowhere. We going around beating your head on a rock. Literally beating your head on a rock.
Crazy.
All right, man. That's cool beans. Let's go new topic. I like these topics. I love thinking topics. Don't y'all like thinking topics more than just naked people shaking it, themselves and fights and all that stuff? Oh man, let's do this.
Well, let's take it a little deeper. Let's go a little deep in our thinking, because this next topic is a little bit more serious, and then we're gonna end it on the light note. But we've seen what's going on in our society, and we've seen Black Lives Matter movement and all of these things about people wanting to have equal rights and they wanting things to be fair. So we've seen that in the last cases that has been coming out, we have not seen justice in a lot of different things. And we've seen that in Ahmaud Arbery's cases, his killers have been sentenced with life sentences. And then we've also seen recently with Dante Wright, his killer was found guilty. So do we feel like we are actually getting justice now? Is justice really being served now? Is this something we can look forward to? Is this something that's going to be consistent, or do we feel like it's just momentary? It's just particular to these cases and it's like a hit or miss? Or do we feel like this is beginning to be the roots and the foundation that's laid where we're going to start to see more justice over time?
Let me I don't got really. I got a little bit to say, but not too much. So if I can go first, I'll go ahead and go first with this one. I think, and I mean this out of the best love of my heart for everybody. I think we just got to keep taking it as it comes, and what I mean by that is that, speaking on emotional intelligence, is not to get caught up on an emotional high, or get dwell in emotional lows when it comes to these things that we say is unfair, we think is fair. I think that I'm glad that physical justice, according to the laws of the United States of America, when it comes to the acts that was done by these individuals, seem to be taken and done correctly in those trials, these current last two trials. life sentences for the father and son who took it upon themselves to ambush. It ain't no other way to say it. Ambush a young black man with no weapon, unarmed, and then get mad when the guy tries to protect himself and then say he's scared, but yet he has the double-barrel shotgun in his hand. Yes, I believe they deserve life, and I believe that outside of that, make your peace with God, but no, sometimes, again, sorry ain't enough. And don't mean that you ain't forgiven, but it means you do got to walk out what your punishment should be. So I believe the punishment in both cases was right. I think what makes it gives us, with some people I would say, the glimmer of hope. I would just say understand that you had juries, because that's really who makes these cases. Any lawyer tells the juries. I think people need to start talking crap about they want laws to be done right and everything else. Maybe some of y'all need to start doing jury duty and stop trying to find ways not to do it. Picture yourself being the person on the other side that got to have 12 people come on there, listen to the facts, listen to lies, and understand that it's not about how you feel, but it's about the evidence that's presented. And if it's beyond a reasonable doubt, that's how you should be judging. Not because I see this person's skin color, not because I was a victim of this type of crime, none of those things. So if you really want to be a part of the system, my people, and you want to see better, then we need to do more. We need to stop saying, things of that nature, because people say it all the time. Oh, I got jury duty. Oh, my goodness, I got to do this. And I've seen people give every excuse. I got to pick up my kid. Picture of your kid is the one being judged.
Yeah.
That's all I can say on that one. And I just hope that we get more and more people that get in the jury, God willing, and they do the right thing. That's it. Do the right thing. Go in there, discuss it. And if it's any doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt, I don't think a lot of people understand what that means. Beyond a reasonable doubt. Like, man, if you got a reason to doubt that person reasonably did not commit the crime, whether because of witnesses or evidence, it's your duty to say, I don't care what color it is and what your experience is, to say, you know what? I can't say to put a man or a woman behind prison with this evidence and I'm doubting it. Not guilty. Yep. That's how jury's supposed to do. Not, I want to hurry up and be done because I got a game to go to. I need to hurry up and get out of here because I got to go shopping. I remember my brother got killed by somebody like this. Your brother did not get killed by this person. Go by the judge of the case. So that's what I'm glad about. I just hope we get more juries. I don't think people need to be all up to my, it's finally happening. No, I think we should handle by a case-by-case basis and stop, and stop looking for this system to get us out of problems that we need to be proactive instead of reactive with. So I believe it's more dead center. So that's my opinion on
that. Felicia, I've been trying all day and even some part of yesterday to give you an answer. And I can't say, and I say that, just like I said, just using those trials, like how detailed it has to be in order to have a chance to feel like justice was served. Like just a few weeks ago with the case where the officer who shot that young man thought it was her, taser, she could have got away. Like there's no reason how I feel that Amari's case dragged on this long. Even the previous case. And even in the case where and this is not, pick on Officer Day, but like when the officer had went into the wrong house and murdered somebody. That's how murdered somebody. And we're still debating and prolonging the innocence where it's like it's clear cut and dry, like right is right, is wrong. And just seeing how long it takes and what it takes just to feel like we get justice. I can't say that justice is being served, but also looking how much we've progressed from these previous times, helps. But like I said, in my opinion, I just think it's a lot. It's a lot, especially like just for one case. Like this, just look at how the George Floyd incident took over the world.
Yeah,
like that one life. That I would have never known George Floyd ever in my life, but that happened, and everybody in the world knows it. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't take for us to experience an injustice, be wrongfully accused. I mean, wrongfully. I'm sorry, being done wrongly, and have to have all this whole movement, the marches, the political stance, and like all of this for one case that's cut and dry, black and white, that we can see, like everybody sees it. So picture if it wasn't video recorded, then no, we wouldn't get it. We wouldn't get it. Well, I mean, the fact that hey, people are being held accountable, but look at what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what it takes. Like I feel like if the role was reversed, it's cut and dry, clear, done. It's done. So it's hard for me to say. I really can't give an answer because it's a lot of energy. It's a lot building on everyone just to make sure justice is served. So in my eyes, is it really served? I can't answer that question.
That's honest. That's an honest answer, though.
Yeah, and what I wanted to say to that is I'm in agreement with both of you because it's a case by case basis. It's based on people doing their due diligence. It is based on everybody playing their role in their parts. And what I want to highlight is we have to look at how these cases have seen the light of day. It's about us taking a stand, not necessarily protesting and, being political, but specifically with Ahmaud Arbery. His mother would not rest. His father, his family would not rest until they made sure that you're going to give me the attention that I need in order to address these matters. I'm not going to rest. I'm not going to stop because you said no and they said no. I'm going to continue and go to whoever I need to go to and do whatever I need to do in order to get what is necessary and what's needed for us. And that's all I want to encourage all of us to do in general. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for the things that matter, the things that are right. No matter how much you have to go through in order to see it come to fruition, it's okay because it's right. It's worth it because it's right. That's all I want to encourage us, because we may, I can't speak on it either to say an indefinite answer. It's like, you don't know. It's based on how all the components are coming together and how it's set up. And the hope and the prayer is that we will have more cases that come that first off are getting the acknowledgement and the recognition, because we know that there's a lot of cases that's like this and then some. And it ain't just with black people, it's white people, it's with anybody.
Everybody.
It's everybody. So the hope is that in general, people are getting the way the systems have been supposed to be operating. We're getting that full measure to the degree of the law that's supposed to be right. that's supposed to, like you said, be fair across the board, no matter what.
Right.
But if we don't, like we said about emotional intelligence, let's not let it dictate our behavior in our life, where we start to hold other people imprisoned and just start labeling people and doing the same things we don't like. We don't like for ourselves to be stereotyped. So let's not do the same thing for all white people and all other people and races and ethnicities. Let's have that same energy for everybody. And I just want to say that no matter what happens, we're all one. We're all unified.
Right.
We all want to see the good. We all want to see something positive come out of these situations. So we just got to keep doing our due diligence. And like you said, show up, do our part.
Show up. See the best. That's the best way. I think that's the best way you said it. Right on. And then, like you said, the other part, because I thought you was about to say it too. The other part was about justice. I would say, too, when it come to this situation, yeah, the families got justice, but you know what? They'll trade in every dollar amount and all that stuff for they had their loved one.
Had family member back, yeah.
So
you can't bring it back. So yeah.
Bring it back. So let's just do our best to be proactive, to be more preventive of a lot of these situations. Let's try to meet it and do that. So I agree with you on that.
And also, like I said, we got families who will never see justice. We got families who've been wrong that hasn't been recorded, that hasn't been, publicly notified or publicly, acknowledged, and they will never get justice.
There you go. There you go. And that's the big one. That's the part. And that's why I always say I'm careful about. I used to want to be really careful about saying, man, God is going to take care of it. And I would tell people, like, he absolutely still going to take care of it. I know it don't feel it, because right now it ain't getting what you feel is to do justice it deserves. But nobody gets away with nothing.
Yep.
I tell people all the time, don't ever think that. I know it may be feel you think that the person did the most is doing the most, but believe it. I'm telling you, I've seen it, and you just don't focus on that. You're supposed to be focusing, like you said, is moving forward and just being more, being proactive about the change. And then you're like, you know what? That didn't happen for me, but I want to make sure and fight hard that it never happens to someone else again.
Absolutely.
It's something that Max said today. Like somebody, or you, I think both of y'all said, somebody got to be first. And that be the problem with a lot of things. People are so afraid to be in the first one.
Yeah.
They're afraid to be in the first one. You want to know why? Because it looked like the Squid Game. It's a part on the Squid Game where they had this bridge made of glass. And one glass could support the weight of two people. And one can't support the weight of nothing. You couldn't tell which was which. So they had to order who got to go first, and somebody got to go first. And the only way you would find out is by how people were stepping on it. And that's how life is. And when it comes to getting new challenges, it's like that. Somebody got to be first. People talk about, I want generational wealth. Are you willing to be the generational foundation, though?
Yes.
That means you may not be the one that see the most of that wealth.
Or any of it.
Yep.
Are you prepared for that? Because that's the mentality that a lot of people got right now, that they don't want to be the first. They just want to get it now. And now you're just making it harder for the people behind you. Some of y'all just want to get everything that you can get right now, get all you can, sit on the can, and that's it. I was trying to say it like Pastor Anderson, but y'all prefer I just say it. But it's just crazy. You got to be the way. You got to be that way. And I think that until we could get back to that place, to the people that was way before us, and it just wasn't blacks. That's why I say when people go the route of talking about whites, blacks, homosexual, all this stuff, I'm like, man, we got to be careful about what we say about people, because a lot of people that was standing, you still standing on their shoulders. Some of them was white, some of them was gay, some of them was black, some of them was, you wouldn't believe it, dude. You standing
We
on.
all people.
Yep. And the two we really, I remember, then this is my last thing I'm saying this. Rest in peace, Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney said something, because Paul Mooney talked a lot of racist stuff, but that fool wasn't racist, and don't get it fooled. And he said, I talk a lot of racist, but I understand one thing, that we in this together. So we either go live this out together, or we gonna hang together. But either way, we gonna do it together. So, like you said, we'll be up. So let's not be caught up in moments. Let's be proactive in preventing negative moments.
Yeah. Well, that segues right into our last topic about the pursuit of happiness. What determines happiness?
You know what? Like, you know what, Felicia, why you get on my nerves? With all these topics, like this one, like it's so simple, but yet so enlightening and powerful. It just make you think, like, damn, like, wow, what is it? But I'll go first really quick. I think what determines.
Wait, let me say something real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that the way these topics came about is based on just what I've been seeing, just in our culture, our society, our communities. You know, all of these are the things that people are talking about or that they're not talking about, and it's necessary for us to talk about the pursuit of happiness because everybody seems like, especially during the pandemic and everything, everybody wants to be happy. And I read this article that talked about at Yale, there was a professor who had a class, just regular class, and she decided to put it online. And when she put it online for free, her enrollment was 3,000% increased from 2 years ago. She put the course was in 2018. She first started, and then she put it out during the pandemic for free. And it was interesting to read that and see how your enrollment went up 3,000% because people are trying to find out, how can I be happy? I'm not happy. I don't like where I'm at. I don't like what's happening around me. I want a better life. I want all these things: abundance, good energy, good chakra, all these names and things people want to categorize it as. But it's like, what determines happiness? What really makes you know I'm happy now? Go ahead.
To kind of answer that question, and I just had to put it simple. I think what determines happiness is when you pursue what you're passionate about. I think that's what creates happiness. And I was scrambling and coming into the show. What really confirmed my answer was, when Kobe was speaking, just saying like, hey, if you don't want to do this, do something else if it don't make you happy. You know what I'm saying? So like basketball or like made Kobe happy. So he lived it, breathed it, done it. He didn't sacrifice his family, which I read his whole book. He didn't sacrifice his family.
Incredible book.
Huh?
Incredible book. That and Will Smith too. Get it, y'all. If you ain't got a chance, get it.
So he didn't sacrifice his family, which if you're gonna be great, you're gonna sacrifice some. A lot of people sacrifice family time. Kobe didn't. He had his family time, and then the rest of the time he dedicated to basketball, and he was happy. And that's why when he was done, he was happy. Everything he wanted to do, he dedicated to basketball. And I know how both of you guys you do a incredible segue from coming from just a regular conversation to more spiritual. So I just think with this conversation is like, pursue what God gave you. Because, at the end of the day, like that's what you're gonna be happy about. Like if you're gonna be a librarian, which however people may look at it, if that's the assignment that God has for you and that's where your happiness is, be a librarian. Live into people's expectation and do what they want you to do is just only going to lead to failure, disaster, and disappointment. Because you're not going to make everybody happy. Is it possible? There's no way to make 100% everybody happy. So I that's my definition of it. Pursue what makes you happy. Pursue your purpose. And the rest fix itself.
Mr. Johnson?
Oh, I thought you was about to say something.
Go ahead.
Oh. So, the pursuit of happiness. The key word in there is pursue. That's the word that people. It ain't happiness. It's pursuit. And actually, if we go deeper into it, if you ever been, I'm a big museum nut. So if you ever go to Washington D.C., it's got some of the best museums in the freaking country. I mean, it just do. I mean, if you a hardcore historian, you know what I'm saying, and you love that kind of information, go there.
Mm-hmm.
It got in the Library of Congress the actual original draft of the direct Declaration of Independence, and it's incredible because that's where that pursuit of happiness, you know, one of the phrases, that's where phrases come from, and it is by Thomas Jefferson, who loved black women. I just had to squeeze that in. Come on. I can't get a laugh for that. There we go. I had to get this. He did, you know. I mean, it's weird, but interesting. But you know, one of in his draft, he said that we hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable, that all men created equal and independent, that from the equal creation they derive rights inherited and inalienable, among which are the preservation of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. So when I hear that, I want y'all to peep out one thing. There's no guarantee of happiness. There is no guarantee. He say that you have the right to what? Pursue happiness. And so when I hear that, I think about it like a couple different other things, but like I give y'all this. See, I like to give that little knowledge, and then I want to give this too. And I love the scripture. Jeremiah, one of my favorite books. I love Jeremiah. In Jeremiah chapter 29:11, it says, For I know I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and hope. So when I hear that and I contrast that to what's going on, and I think about, what is the pursuit? What's the pursuit of happiness, and what's to make you happy? I think happiness is just a state of being.
Yes.
I think it's a state of being. When I read this, read both of them, that's exactly what they both saying. And right here, Thomas Jefferson saying, look, man, I'm saying that we all being men, being here, being equal under the sight of God, have the right to pursue happiness. Mm-hmm. Means nobody got the right to keep you from going out and doing what makes you happy or finding whatever your happiness is on earth, right? I'm like, that's freaking awesome, even though we know a lot of them do got a problem with that. But we ain't gonna get to that. That's another episode, another day.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic.
But then I see what my God say. And he said, I know the plans I have for you. Like, not to make you suffer, not to make you lack, but allow you to have life and have it more abundantly. To allow you to have joy and not sorrow. And it's saying the exact same thing. God's saying you got a choice. Like you got a choice if you want to be happy. You could pursue your idea of happiness, not knowing the plan, or you could trust me because I know you. And I know it's grateful for you. And I know this is awesome for you. And you can trust and you can go through the process. Stop trying to avoid the process.
Yep.
You know the road. You looking at the road. The problem is that you do too much looking at everything on the side of you and around you and everything else. And I'm just telling you, get out the driver's seat. Matter of fact, don't even sit next to me. Go sit in the back. I got you. Just you be all right.
Enjoy the ride.
You enjoy the ride. So you can enjoy the pursuit of happiness. One says you got the choice to go look for happiness, to pursue it, to seek it out. The other one says that I could give you happiness. You just got to accept it. You got to be willing to go, do it my way. So I think it's an awesome proposition. So in all, I went all the way and being all philosophical just to say this. Man, happiness is a state of mind, and happiness is different for every single person.
Yes, sir.
It's going to make me happy, and it's not going to make someone else's happy. No matter what I do, my happiness may be being able to look in my daughter's eyes and be happy and looking at every single thing that she do, grow, become more and more incredible, become this incredible young woman that I always prayed and thought she would be. My happiness may be seeing my friends and family who have been trying so hard to accomplish a goal, seeing them go through the process, seeing them go through the mud, seeing them get dirty in the mud. And when they could have quit, they get up and they dust themselves off, tears and all, and still keep going in accomplishment. That might be happiness for me. Shoot, my happiness might be binging a couple of movies and being at peace and being able to be at home with my family, knowing that everything I worked hard for. And man, I get to experience and enjoy the fruits of my labor, because that's the point that I think a lot of people forget when they come to pursuit of happiness, is that you don't enjoy the fruits of your labor because we're in this false and incredibly ignorant connotation that you got to hustle until you die. That's not going to happen for me, my friend. I'm not going to hustle. Yeah, keep hustling and working, and you'll get there sooner. Keep not enjoying the things in life that you need to enjoy and being grateful for it and being grateful for it. Stop trying to be like, I need to get everything. I hustle hard. I hustle hard. I do this. No days off. You a damn fool. No man can work 7 days a week. What man wants to work 7 days a week? It's just like Max said.
The burnout is going to come. Your body going to shut you down.
Some of y'all is living, but you think because you're doing a lot, you're getting a lot done. All you did is make money.
You busy, but you're not productive.
You're doing nothing. And I tell people this, I say this all the time, and I know Mac, I'll be saying that. I tell people, like, man, when you go see people's stuff on a headstone, do you read here last time, one hell of a worker? No, you don't see that. You don't see, here's Johnny. Man, that boy made a lot of money. You don't see that.
Because you can't take all the possessions and material things with you.
And the things that actually matter, they put on there. They'll say loving father. Man, because my father was loving. Loving mother. Man, my mother was loving. Loving friend and my uncle. You will be incredibly missed. That's what they put on there, if you're lucky. Some people just get a name.
And a date.
And a date. And I'm just saying, I just tell people, man, in the pursuit of happiness, man, I love this. When you put this on there, I love this, because this is big for me. Because it don't take a lot to make me happy.
Right.
What I've learned in life. What makes me happy, somebody else will be like, when they think about it, they're like, whoa, that is it. I'm like, yeah, that's what makes me happy. I'm happy with family. I'm happy with friends. I'm happy with seeing the people I love the most succeed. I'm happy in my own successes. I'm happy when I can make a change in somebody else's life that affect them so much that they can get emotional to beyond words. That's incredible. I mean, people, a trip. I mean, there's beaches everywhere. I know everybody love a beach. Let me go to the beach. Let me go to Jamaica. Let me go to, you know what I'm saying, Caribbean. Let me tell y'all something. I'm going to tell y'all something. They're all the same. If you've been to one beach, you've been to them all. And I ain't trying to be funny, but it's the truth. Don't get fooled by that. It's more important things in life that you're going to wish that you had because people forget that. Oh man, he used to go on trips everywhere. People forget that. People will never forget how you made them feel. Like, man, I remember I was at my toughest time. Man, and I'm telling you, people don't forget that stuff. They don't forget that, man, he was there for me when nobody else was there for me. When I was at my lowest moment, shoot, when I was going to put a bullet in my head, his words came along and boom, saved my life. Don't ever forget how you feel. And that worked the other way too. Be careful what you do to people, because people don't forget how you made them feel.
Hey, what they say, hey, the saying is, be careful whose foot you step on. It might be connected to the butt you got to kiss tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. You already know. I say in the pursuit of happiness, man, state of mind, man. Go be happy, and what you know makes you happy. Don't make it based off other people's measure of happiness.
Yep.
Because it ain't going to measure up. That's why we different. We all too unique and we too different to have the same thing that's going to make us happy. It's not.
We all have our own assignments, and I feel like the pursuit of happiness is understanding. That's why we talked about emotional intelligence and management, because that's all connected.
Right.
You know, you have to know that part of you to understand the assignment.
Right.
You could do a whole bunch of stuff. I could go make $1 million tomorrow, but still not be happy. Thinking that, you know, I'm pursuing that, thinking that's going to make me happy. And then I get it and now I'm not happy. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm still on the pursuit because I thought this was going to be it. And it wasn't. So it's just about understanding you, understanding what it takes for you. What are your needs? What is it that's really important and that really matters?
Right.
So like you said, it's different for everybody. And it's about being present, just living life, being grateful for life, understanding that it's a journey, it's a process that you can't get through or around. You got to go through the process. If you living and breathing, you got to go through the process. And your time may not be at the same time as somebody else's time, but you're going to have challenges and obstacles and things you got to overcome and go through. Yep. It ain't always going to be bad. It ain't always going to be high. It ain't going to be always just high or always low. It's going to be a balance of the two. But just know, like you said, Jeremiah 29:11, God knows the plans he has for you. It's plans to give you a hope and a future, not to harm you. And if you keep that in mind, whether you're a believer or not, you know, they call them proverbs, you know, if that, call it what you want. That's what's going to get you to where you're trying to go. It's guaranteed.
Absolutely. 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 I just wanted to put that one on there because we never have a chance to hit that button, so that's why I wanted to hit that button.
Hey, press a couple more buttons. That was interesting.
I know, right?
Shots fired.
I don't know what this is. I think that's like a dance party, so we do dance. I don't know what it is. I'm pressing. I can't believe it, y'all, but I'm. Oh, that's a. I don't want to press that one again. That made me depressed. But I am so happy. You know, I'm on this great show. Appreciate you. Outstanding topics, Miss Hill. I appreciate you.
Applause button.
But I'm talking. There we go. Outstanding topics. Outstanding all the way through. Great. I love it. I'm loving the fact that we getting this new year started off so good in these last 2 shows of the first of the new year. So it's just been awesome. And again, we appreciate everybody that's out there. All the feedback, views, and everything else. We appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Next week, I do want to bring up one of these topics because it's interesting. I happen to listen. I listened to this man, and I think first of all, he's a brilliant man. Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's an outstanding and brilliant man. Just in case a lot of people don't know he is a actual, I think his official, I don't want to get his title wrong. Let me make sure while I'm doing this. I know he's a physicist. Just in case, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I want to get it right. Neil deGrasse Tyson. There we go. He is an astrophysicist. Thank you. He's an African-American astrophysicist, planetary scientist, author, and science communicator. A lot of y'all may have heard of him before, but it's funny because he said that he's a I don't know how to pronounce that word, agnostic, which mainly means that you say it's like basically what that says is that I don't believe in God, but I don't not believe in him. They're saying that it's either way, that it may not be enough proof to prove existence or not to prove
non-existence. Yeah.
So, but either I go, he's very brilliant, brilliant man. And I listened to him. He had a conversation talking about, well, real quick, he had a conversation talking about religion versus science. And I always have people, I got a couple of emails and they was asking me about it. That's how I found out about it. So shout out to Nicholas. I apologize for pronouncing your name wrong, Nick. Nick Thomason, TH. Thomason. And he asked me, what do I feel about this? And do I get offended when someone talks about religion compared to science? And how does that conversation go with us? So I'm going to point that to y'all right now.
That's a great question.
So, like I said, shout out Nick, and I appreciate it. So he sent me the thing, and I'll send it to y'all too another time, but y'all can answer it now. He was saying how, do we believe that every time somebody comes, what happened in the video itself, Neil deGrasse was comparing how a correlation between people who believe in a higher power drops off as people become more educated. And of course, it's coming from a scientist. I mean, like an astrophysicist. He says, but the thing I want people to keep in mind is that they said people. So he equates everything to intelligence. See, what happens when you try to talk to intellects, this is what I've noticed. And there's no disrespect. Because first of all, I'm not religious.
Right.
That's number one. So when people say, oh man, I'm like, okay, good. I'm not religious. Religion separates. I'm a man of God. I believe in everything that my father said is taking place. Not just because it's words on a piece of paper, because I have a relationship and I've experienced my belief in action. That's the difference.
Evidence and proof every day.
And so when he was saying that, he was saying how people with an undergraduate degree, you have 80% of them believe in a higher power while 20% of them don't. When they get to their master degree, they say it drops down 60% belief, and then 40% don't. Then when you get to the even bigger degrees,
PhDs,
beyond the PhDs and the science elite,
the doctors and all that, yeah,
they say it go from 40% that still believe in a higher power. Then when you get to that ultra elite level, you know what I mean, where you
them untouchables.
You untouchables. You could have calculations to go from Mars to Jupiter and back, and all this other stuff, places you've never been before, but you have faith is there. But I ain't speaking on that because I ain't trying to say it ain't real. You know, telescopes and stuff of that nature. But I'm like, I'm gonna get to my point, and I'm gonna hear what y'all say. They say it drops down to 7%. Still will have a belief in a higher power. Now, the interesting thing is that he wasn't arguing if or not. He was saying that when you get to those elites who are keep beating the pavement talking about, when are you people going to understand that there is no higher power, this all is, blah, 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 blah. He says, I would argue to them, why are y'all trying to beat the pavement to tell these people that when it's still 7% of people like you that believe in it? Shouldn't you want to get them convinced first? Because if you're getting them convinced, and if you can't convince them, ain't no way in the world you're going to convince all the other people that really still believe in it. I found that to be interesting, and I found that to be a very intelligent, smart answer for Neil. I just want to see what y'all interested on that. Have y'all ever been confronted with that with people, because the funny thing about it, he did point this out too, is that it's really not the elite. See, the phrase atheist is really a coin phrase by philosophers. It ain't really got to do with the super elites. It's by philosophers.
Mm-hmm.
So what he's saying is that when you get to that elite level, they want to be to the point where they need proof. There's a lot of it is needing proof, and they need the information and things of that nature. What do y'all feel about that? You know, and Nick, great question, man. I appreciate you. What do y'all feel about that?
I think I did have an encounter. It wasn't like, you know, a malicious or a malice encounter. It was me and an individual. I want to keep the person's name private. Me and an individual discussing, you know, like religious, like I would say / faith versus like, hey, believing that God's not real, and just they have their points, their evidence, and I'm just being honest. I'm not a savant when it comes down to the Bible, but what I did say is that, in my experience, is that there's things that I know that I'm limited to. I know that I understand it. And to where I am now and the things that I have conquered, the things that I've been through, I personally could not have done it. I don't have the capacity of certain things to reach the levels that I can get to, that I know I can get to, and that where I have achieved. And I believe that came from God, which, you know, like I said, which we'll categorize as a higher power. That's where that came from. I know, like I said, like I know myself. Like we all know each other. And don't get me wrong, like, yeah, like I'm somebody you have to show me in order for me to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's almost common sense. But there's some stuff that happens that you just can't explain. You can't explain. And what he said, what is understood doesn't need to be said. Like, it's like, hey, I know that I can't do this, but yet I'm doing this, and yet this is where I'm supposed to be. And all that came from God. And that's how I feel because of that evidence. I said that's my evidence. Like I said, my evidence, let's just say my IQ is low, but yet I have a master's. And that's an example. I said my IQ is high or low, but yeah, I obtained this. There's no way I could obtain this without having this, but yet I have it. So, like I said, and that didn't come from me develop these intellectual ideas or proving that I've done it. I have no proof that I have done these things. So that's where I give my credit to. So that's how I know it's real, because it's real to me. That it may not affect the other person, or they may not even see it, believe it, understand it. But as long as I can understand it and I know what it means to me, that's all the proof that I need.
I agree with what Mac was saying about your own experience. You too, Randy. Your own understanding. Going back to that emotional intelligence, right. Because everybody has a choice. Everybody is going to get different information. They can choose to receive it, choose to reject it. And for me, based on his question, I believe that to me, it's not hard for me to believe that the higher these people go, because they're obtaining more knowledge from all these different places, and they have all this different scientific data and all these different experiments that has taken place, that they are becoming more and more or less interested in the pursuit of understanding if there is God or a higher power. I believe that because they have so much other knowledge that is right in the forefront. And I believe that a lot of them don't have the common thread we're all talking about, these experiences to prove otherwise. Their experiences is only based on this information and this knowledge that they're getting.
Right.
They're surrounding themselves with those type of people who are similar to them majority of the time, and they don't see, or they haven't had experiences with other people who have different beliefs or stances than they do. a lot of times when you do evidence or you do research, you do a vast majority of a poll or a survey, but you're usually biased because you're going to, this is what I expect it to be, this is my hypothesis, and this is where I'm going to go towards. I'm going to search and look that out and pursue that instead of being just open to, hey, it could not be what I expected it to be, but I'm open to it. So I believe that for me, if I've had multiple times where people have asked me about my beliefs in my faith and how I can be so sure about what I believe and what I know to be true. And just like Max said, I agree. It's based on my experience. It's not something that I can do in my own ability and my own strength. Only something, which is God, can do these things for me. That's the only way I can move forward. That's the only way I can even wake up, because God's given me that opportunity to wake up. He's putting the breath in my body. So for me, is God. But for somebody else, they may feel like it's just science. It's the way the world was created, and that's just a part of the system. So for me, I don't knock anybody who has a different belief or a different faith or religion or whatever they want to call it. But for me, what I believe is based on the evidence. It's based on my everyday living that continuously proves, like, I guess you could say, like science, it's continuously proving that this is real. This is accurate. So I don't feel like, to answer the question, I don't feel like it's weird that they are so stuck in, oh, they can't exist. It's not it, because they're getting more knowledge. They're getting more information that is supporting what they want to believe.
I think y'all both said is pretty much what it is. I think that what we got to understand is that, I mean, for myself, because I love a good debate. I don't debate God.
That's the thing. I just feel like it's not debatable.
I don't debate.
It's not debatable.
Debate things that's debatable. You know what I'm saying? God ain't debatable for me, man. I just know it. Just like I don't debate. Is that your kid?
Mm-hmm. No, sometimes you got to.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's just, man. I don't debate it, man, because you experience it. And when you experience it, and you know for a fact, nothing gonna shake you about, certain things. Like when somebody say something like about somebody that's close to you or tell you, man. Like I remember it's a movie called 40-Year-Old Virgin. This is funny. I like this. Guys and women can understand this. But it was a part when they was playing poker in the very beginning. They didn't know he was a virgin yet. And he was playing poker, and they was like, Andy, man, tell us a real sex story right now. And Andy, played by Steve Carell, was like, oh, let me think. I had this girl, she's like, oh, me so horny. She love you all the time. And he was just saying all this stuff that was just way off. And you could tell they was like, all right, then he got to the part where he say, when you feel on a woman's breast and it feels like a bag of sand. And then that's when they stopped. They're like, the guy like, sand? And he's like, no, you know what I'm talking about. Let's keep going. But they figured out, they're like, hold on, tell me the truth. You a virgin, ain't you? That is what a debate is. When you know something and you know it's true, you ain't got to debate it. Like, look, I know fire burns. I've touched it before. Or I go even farther. I see somebody else get burnt by it. I ain't about to touch it. So I think what a lot of things where very high intellect people I notice, and this is the truth. I've been around like some really, really, I don't know about y'all, but I've been around some like really, really brilliant people where you like, man, you think you smart, and then you like, wow, you are intelligent. I mean, you are incredibly smart. And they're very socially awkward.
Yeah.
They don't know how to, they're very void of relationships because sometimes it seems like their intellect
isolates them.
Yeah, isolate them. Woo, that was a good one. Isolate. Ding, 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 ding. And for that, they develop relationship with theories and hypotheses and equations. And they believe dead on them because those things won't make you feel awkward. So to a lot of elite that had that information, they're comfortable with it. That's their relationship. And I would go as far as to tell them, man, you're a brilliant person. You're incredible. You're smart. You've been blessed. And then when they'll get there, like, oh, you know, I think no. I know you want to believe in something else that make you think that it's something tangible that you can really put your hands on. Because that's the biggest people. I'm gonna tell you. And we done. I know this because we about to hit our 2. But most people don't like the 10 Commandments because the 10 Commandments hit every aspect of life, and it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to think about that, especially if you like that sin. So if you like stealing and whatever encompasses underneath stealing, you ain't gonna like, man, I don't really like that. I can't get with that. Adultery, I can't sleep with whoever I want to sleep with, even though I want to keep somebody I want to keep. You mean to tell me I can't want something someone else has just because I want it? I should be able to go up there and just take it because I want it. What you're telling me, so I think what happens with that is that a lot of people are just uncomfortable knowing that you got to have accountability, knowing that you're not going to get away with everything that you do in life.
Mm-hmm.
That scares the heck out of people to know that one day the chicken's going to come home to roost. I love that expression. So I think that when it comes to people of intellect, because keep in mind, it still didn't say they totally didn't believe it. It's still something that, like, no, look, as smart as I know I am, I still understand that everything that comes around here is created by something that's much higher and more powerful than me. More powerful than any equation I can put on the board.
Yep.
Because some equations still come from a man. No matter how people want to put it. Them equations still come from a man. No matter how brilliant it is, it still come from a man. And the last time I checked, man is flawed. There ain't no flaw in God.
Except for me.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't no flaw in God. And that's why I would tell people. I'm like, I ain't going to push God down your throat.
Absolutely not.
But you're going to know because of how I live and how I act. You're going to know it. You're going to know because when I have opportunity to do wrong, I just do what know what's right. You ain't going to always hear me saying, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do what's right. You're going to be like, oh, man. Hey, man, you don't deserve it. I done said it to people like, man, I'm only
you
doing
better thank God
right
he loves you.
You better thank God. I'll do that. Like, you better thank David Chappelle. But it's just funny. So I agree with both of y'all with that and everything else. I think that it comes to point blank period. It's relationship. No one can tell you when you got a relationship with somebody how someone is. No one can tell you about your personal experience with something because they wasn't there to experience. So when someone tells me, man, I dove off the bridge. That's why experience is so powerful. I dove off that bridge into the water. It felt like I was hitting hard rocks. How would somebody know how that feel? Because they had to actually
experience it. Mm-hmm.
And they could describe it in detail. Like you could experience heartbreak. Man, I'm heartbroken. It was crushing. Man, you ain't going, man, it don't feel like that until you got to experience it.
Yeah.
So, all in all, I thank y'all so much. Another great show. Another great night with some great people.
Great topics.
Best podcast in the land. Best host in the land. We will absolutely see y'all next week. Same time, 7:45 Wednesday. Y'all got anything to say before we get them out of here and get y'all out of here because people got to work.
Ladies first. Hey, PTI culture is coming. Stay tuned.
I'm not gonna speak on mine yet, but I got something in the works. It's coming soon too.
It's coming.
Shout out to my boy Mac. Shout out to
Thank
Ma,
you.
see you up there.
Shouting me out.
Shout out Ma,
Oh,
see
that
Alice.
Mac. Oh,
Shout
what's
out
up,
to
Mac?
John Glover. Shout out to Miss Kathy. Shout out to the couple of y'all I see that's out there seeing. I'm sorry I can't say all the name. My voice is really sucky. But I thank all of y'all for being tonight. We will see y'all next week, Wednesday, 7:45. Next episode of Unfiltered. Until then, man, love each other. Be good.